Good morning, all of you. My name is Bhatia, and today we are covering in this class Unit 4 and 5 the kingdoms in the Deccan and the rise of Harsha in the south. Okay, now we are connecting to south. We will cover east, west, north, and mainly we will cover in this class about the south. Yes, people often speak of India South, of Vindhyas, as South India, as we are talking about Deccan. Okay, Deccan means uh, Dakshinapatha. We were used about Dakshinapatha. Dakshina became Deccan of medieval times, from which in turn the term Deccan is derived. But historians and geographers have found it more useful to distinguish the Deccan proper from the rest of South India. The Deccan consists of Maharashtra, northern Karnataka, and as far as double deltas of Godavari and Krishna. Maharashtra, Karnataka, and delta of Godavari and Krishna. These were the two main important rivers of that particular region, southern India. What was the political situation in the Deccan at that time? Till the mid 6th century. As I told you earlier, after the Mauryan Empire was a big empire, as you all know. Chandragupta Maurya, Ashoka, and all the rulers were ruling in Mauryan Empire. And the situation of political situation was very much strong at that time because they have a big empire. They extend their empire to east, west, north, south, and all. The political situation was very strong. After the decline of Mauryan Empire, the political situation was not very good at that time because if one big empire destroyed at that time, one there were so many small empires, small emperors, chiefdoms. They increased their power in their areas and they give them freedom to rule at that particular place. Just like Satavahanas, we are talking about. After the decline of Satavahanas, the political control of Deccan under one dynasty came to an end. Several kingdoms arose in different regions as successors of Satavahanas. In northern Maharashtra, we see the Abhirs, okay, and we see the Vakatakas, and there were so many small emperors, small empires were increased at that time. Vidarbha, we are talking about present day Maharashtra. Maharashtra plateau soon came to be dominated by the Vakatakas. Vakatakas were ruling at that time in Maharashtra. They began as minor kings from the last quarter of 3rd century, but rapidly gained in power and extended their sway over most of Maharashtra and the adjoining parts of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, they extended their control. Vakatakas extended their control in Maharashtra, and very rapidly they gain their power and they extend their sway over most of Maharashtra and adjoining parts of Madhya Pradesh. Next is Karnataka. In the coastal strip of northern Karnataka and the adjoining areas of small kingdoms was carved out by the Chutus. They ruled till about mid 4th century CE when they were supplanted by the Kadambas. Okay, after Chutus, the Kadambas came at that time and they ruled at that particular place. This kingdom was founded by famous Maurya Sarman, who was an expert in guerrilla warfare and compelled the Pallavas of Kanchi to recognize his sovereignty. He then performed horse sacrifices like Ashwamedha Yajna and became Maurya Sarman from Maurya Sarman, that is the Kshatriya from the Brahmin. Maurya Varman from Maurya Sarman. Okay, and after that Kshatriya from the Brahmin. Okay, early in its history there was a division of Kadamba kingdom into two parts between two lines of the family. What was that? With Vijayvanti, Banavasi, and the Palasika Halsi as the capitals. These were the two capitals of that particular Kadambas. Eastern Deccan parts, we are talking about Deccan. Okay, and in Eastern Deccan, North, West, and South, we are talking about Deccan. Politically, the most disturbed region in the post Satavahana Deccan was the fertile Krishna Godavari Delta in the east. Satavahanas were succeeded by Ikshvakus, who were in control of this region from 225 CE. There was a break in their rule by coming of Avhirs from the west, but it was a brief interregnum and the Ikshvakus came back and ruled for the next 50 years or so. Then the area was apparently split up into the number of principalities. From copper plate inscriptions, we come to know about the king of that particular place, Ikshvakus, and Allahabad pillar inscription, which was very much good source to know about the information about Samudragupta that inform us about a half dozen kingdoms of this area. South Karnataka. In South Karnataka, there arose a dynasty at the beginning of 5th century CE. The kings of this dynasty are called Ganges or Western Gangas to distinguish them from the Eastern Ganges of Odisha. The Western Ganges ruled over South Karnataka for the next 600 years. Because of such a long association, the area came to be called Gangavadi. And the Gangavadi is an isolated territory surrounded by mountains and relatively less prosperous agriculture. What was the political situation in South India? In South India, we are talking about Tamil Nadu, we are talking about Kerala, and the literature of that particular period was the Sangam literature. And the Sangam period in Tamil Nadu and Kerala drew to a close about the end of 3rd century CE. The history of this area from 4th to 6th century CE is very obscure. The early history of Pallavas belongs to this period. Copper plate charters that were issued from Kanchi, Pallava rule was traditionally associated with the Kanchi. Okay, now we are talking about Sangam literature. And to know about what was the reason, to know what was the causes about that particular period and the sources of that particular period, how were the sources to know about South India? What were the sources? The main source of that particular period to know about South India was a Sangam literature. In Sangam literature, there was totally historical evidence to know about Tamil Nadu and Kerala and all further states of that particular South. Pallavas. Pallavas began with Simha Vishnu about the middle of 6th century BC. He put an end to Calabra interregnum of Tandai Mandalam and extended his kingdom southward up to the Kaveri Delta. He was succeeded by Mahadeva Varman. Earlier we have studied about Mahadeva Varman. He has changed his name Mahadev Sarman to Mahadeva Varman. He was succeeded by Mahadeva Varman I, who annexed territories in the north up to River Krishna. The Pallava kings also secured submission from the neighboring chieftains and kings, thus reached a zone of influence of Chalukyas, of Badami, and of Pandyas. Even the Pandyas had to accept their overlordship briefly. That's why by the middle of 7th century CE, the Pallavas had set up a powerful regional kingdom in South India. Their power began to weaken from the mid 8th century when Chalukyas were being replaced by Rashtrakutas in Deccan. By the early 10th century CE, the Pallava ruler came to an end when Aparajata was defeated by Aditya Chola. Next, Pandyas, Cheras, Cholas, Pandyas, and Kalchuris and Rashtrakutas. They were not the very big kingdoms. They were the, just like we can say, the chieftains. Okay, the chief of that particular area. The Pandyas came to light with King Kadumba towards the close of 6th century CE when he suppressed the Kalavyas. The Pandyas ruled in the southernmost districts of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, in the map of India, you can see in the left, in the downwards and left side, Tamil Nadu. The Pandyas ruled in southernmost district of Tamil Nadu with the Vegi River basin as the heartland of kingdom. They constantly tried to extend their sway over the Kaveri Delta in the north and Chera country in the southwest. Yes, I told you, and I'm going to tell you about the importance of river at that particular place because all emperors were fighting for the area, and that was connected to the rivers. Because nearby rivers there was a fertile land, and the communication was very much easy of that area. Okay, that's why they fought a lot of wars on that particular place near connected to a river. Other powers, just like the Gangas, continue to rule in Gangavadi in South Karnataka. Besides, there were several other small kingdoms and chieftains in the Deccan and South India at this period, such as Nolambas, Banas, Silharas, like this. Unlike the northern India, there were no continuous stretches of river valleys and plains. In the south, there were stretches of river valleys also. The major river valleys, such as Raichur Doab. Doab was the area connected to two rivers. Which were the two rivers of that particular place? Tungabhadra and Krishna. The area between the Tungabhadra and the Krishna, that was known as Raichur Doab. Okay? That were the major river valleys. The Krishna Godavari Delta, the lower Kaveri Valley, and the Vegi Valley are separated from each other by rugged mountains territories. The vast expanses of forest that divided uncultivated zones. All this encouraged political fragmentation and allowed small or political units to survive in isolated pockets of habitation. Conflict between different powers. Yes, Cheras, Cholas, Pandyas, Pallavas, Kalchuris, Chalukyas, they were the small chieftains who fought for that particular place, for to increase their area, okay, increase their empire. The political history of this period is marked by frequent wars between the Chalukyas of Badami, Pallavas, between Pandyas and the Pallavas. Hostilities began with the raid of Chalukyas Pulkeshin II, Chalukya ruler Pulkeshin II, who defeated Mahadev Varman and occupied the northern part of Pallava kingdom. In another campaign, he vanished the Banas and once again threatened Kanchi. But he was badly defeated in the several battles by Narasimha Varman, one who had succeeded Mahadev Varman. These were the attacks and these were the fightings between the rulers, between the chieftains of Pallavas, Pandyas, and the Chalukyas. Okay, for that particular empire. Just like Vikramaditya I, Vikramaditya II, Vikramaditya I drove out the Pallavas, formed an alliance with the Pandyas. And then after that, Vikramaditya II is especially marked in this connection for he is said to have overrun and looted Kachi 3 times. Relations with other countries. What was the relation? Relation was very much good. A noteworthy feature of South Indian politics at this time was an active interest in the political affairs of Sri Lanka. In the battles with the Chalukyas, we hear that Narasimhavarman I had a Lankan prince Mahavarman on his side. He had been driven into exile and had sought refuge at the Pallavan court. After his return from Badami, Narasimhavarman had Mahavarman to gain the throne at Anuradhapura by sending two naval expeditions. Later, when he had again been disposed of his kingdom, it was to the Pallava king that Mahavarman looked for help. The Pandyas too showed keen interest in Sri Lanka, the wealth of which lured them into launching predatory raids into this area. Sri Lanka was very much good at that time. What was the local association of that particular time? In South India, polity, especially Pallava, was importance of local corporate units in most important aspects of life of the people. There were innumerable local groups, an association based on caste, craft, profession, or religious persuasion. There were associations of handicraft like the weavers, oil pressers, merchants like the Nana Desis, Manigraman, and the 500 of Ayarol. Ayavol is the Tamil name of a hall, of students, of ascetics, temple priests, etc. In addition, there were three important territorial assemblies, Ur, Sabha, and Nagar. Political organization of the Pallava period. Now we shall proceed to discuss the pattern of administration that prevailed in these kingdoms. The king was the main head of that particular authority. He assumed high sounding titles just like Maharaja, Bhattarika, and Dharma Maharaja, Dharm Adhikar. Like in the beginning, kingship was governed by the Vedic ideal. We find kings proclaiming in their inscriptions that they performed hot sacrifices just like Ashwamedha. Ashwamedha sacrifices were done by Sri Ram also, and other Vedic sacrifices just Vajpaya, Rajasuya, etc. These type of sacrifices were held at that particular time because they were connected with Veda. During this period, these sacrifices did not have the social significance they had in later Vedic period. Relation between different categories of rulers. What was the relation? Of course, the chieftains and the chiefdoms, just like minor kings, they were very much not in a good relation. The relation between big kings and their lesser allies is a matter of controversy. Means they have no that much good relation between each other. There are two views about the relations between powerful kings and the minor kings and the chieftains. First, it is said that the smaller kings and chieftains regarded a big king. Smaller kings and chieftains regarded a big king, especially Pallavas, as their overlord on religious grounds. The Pallava kings used to participate in elaborate religious ceremonies, which gave them a high ritual status. It was a high ritual status that was respected by lesser kings and chiefs. This theory is not supported by historical evidence. It cannot explain how these minor kings could shift their respect from the Pallavas to Chalukyas, or why they should stop respecting a high ritual status king in volatile political situations and declare their independence. How they can do this? 57 kingdoms in the Deccan and the south. The alternative view regards these smaller kings and chiefdoms as the feudatory. Means first and last. What is that? The difference between big kings and the difference between chiefdoms. The big kings that were connected to a big empire. Okay, and the chiefdoms were not connected to a big empire. They have a small emperor, they have small empire, and they have small states and all. That's why we cannot say them big kings. We can say that they were chiefdoms, chieftains. You have learned about the political situation in Deccan. The political situation in Deccan was not very much good because there were no any big empire, there were no any and high sounding empire at that time in 6th century CE. After this period, we find that the Chalukyas, the Pallavas, and the Pandyas were the major political powers in the region. There were certain minor powers also. but their role was not very significant. The major powers were constantly in conflict with each other, and the minor powers did cease conflicts. As far as the political organization is concerned, the king remained the central figure of administration and was helped by other officials too. A significant feature was the role of local association in the day-to-day administration work. Yes, as the minister of the king, they were having a big and the important role in that particular empire. The big figure is king and the small figures are ministers. Next, Unit 5, the Pallavas and the Pandyas and the South and the Kalchuris. Earlier in this course, we read about different kingdoms in Deccan. Now, we are going to start in this unit. We will look at three significant dynasties, Pallavas, Pandyas and Kalchuris. Ancient Tamil region was denoted by term Tamilkam and Tamilham, who can be identified with present-day Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry, Lakshadweep, southern parts of Andhra Pradesh, and the Karnataka. The dominant Tamil kingdoms of the region were Cheras, Cholas, and Pandyas. Tamil kingdoms, Cheras, Cholas, and Pandyas during the Sangam age, which roughly spanned from 300 BCE to 300 CE. In this unit, we will read about Pandyas during the Sangam age and the period of discontinuity in their political power during post-Sangam age, followed by the arrival of their power. Other dynasties which we will study are Pallavas and Kalchuris. Cheras, Cholas, Pandyas, and the Pallavas and Kalchuris. Pallavas were located in Tamil Mandalam region or northmost part of present-day Tamil Nadu, between two rivers, Pennar and Ponniyar. Capital at Kanchipuram. Kalchuris had several branches, but our main focus will be on Kalchuris of Chedi, located in parts of central India, and those of Kalyani in the modern state of Karnataka. Kalchuris of Chedi and Kalchuris of Kalyani. We will focus on these two Kalchuris only. Okay. First of all, Pallavas. In this unit, the ruins of Satvana, there arose a number of kingdoms. After the decline of Satvana, there a lot of kingdoms they arose themselves in front of them. The Pallavas were one of them. They were feudatories of Satvanas, who came into power after the downfall of their overlords. When the Satvana became down, at that time particular, Pallavas came into power at that time. Their origin is much debated. Some historians trace their origin with the Pallavas, Parthians, who were a principal political power in ancient Iran in 247 BCE to 224 CE. While others believe that their origin was indigenous and not foreign. They were an indigenous tribe or clan or maybe a caste. It has been suggested that they were associated with the Vakataka clan. Another theory looks at the role of matrimonial alliances to explain their origin and propounds that the Pallava minister of Western Kshatras, through a matrimonial alliance, acquired the throne of Kanchi. Pallavas. Pandyas. It is difficult to say about the origin of term Pandya. There are many different opinions regarding the term Pandya. We find the names of Pandyan monarchs mentioned in some important literary works such as Sangam literature, such as epics Ramayana and Mahabharata, the Sri Lankan chronicle Mahavansa, Arthashastra of Kautilya, Indica of Megasthenes, who was the Greek ambassador to the court of King Chandragupta Maurya of that particular Mauryan empire. Some historians opine that the term was derived from the label Pandav. It has also been suggested that if we look at the meaning of word Pandina, Pandya, in Tamil it means old country, Pandya. Pandya means old country in Tamil language. Another speculation made in order to interpret its origin is that it comes from the word Pandi, which in means Tamil means bull, Pandi means bull. And the Tamil the bull was considered as a symbol of strength and masculinity. Thus, it is argued that Pandyan rulers used in order to represent themselves as powerful sovereigns. The first king was who took the title of Pandya was Kulashekharan. Kulashekharan. That was the king who used this title. Which title? Pandya. His successors continue using this title, and this is how it is claimed that cognomen of Pandya became synonymous with the dynasty, this dynasty. Now, how the Pallava and Pandya conflict with each other. The conflicts and alliances were outcomes of political ambition of the rulers to acquire more and more resources for the efficient functioning of their respective governments. Yes, the Chalukyas of Vatapi, the Pallavas of Kanchi, frequently at war with one another. The Pallava monarch Mahadev Varman I had expanded the territory of Pallava dynasty towards the north up to the river Krishna. The Vishnu Kundins became the neighboring kingdom located in the north of Pallavas. Pulkeshin II defeated the Vishnu Kundins, and the territory of Vishnu Kundins became the part of Chalukya dynasty. The Chalukyan king made his brother Kubja Vishnu Varman the viceroy of this conquered territory. Later, Vishnu Varman founded the Eastern Chalukyan dynasty or the Chalukyan kingdom of Vengi. With the decline of Vishnu Kundins, the Chalukyans became the neighboring territory of the Pallavas or to the north. That's why the expansionist policies of Mahadeva Varman I and the Pulkeshin II brought the two emperors together on a battlefield against each other. This began the constant conflict between two dynasties. Two dynasties means Pallavas and Chalukyans. The third important dynasty which played a significant role in the clash was the Pandyas of Madurai in the Vengi Valley. Pandyas of Madurai. These three political powers were contemporaries and rose of prominence at almost the same time. The Pandyas, the Chalukyas were neighboring kingdoms of Pallavas. Each wanted to extend their territorial boundaries at the expense of others. The Pandyas were eager to take control of fertile Kaveri Delta. They saw it very beneficial to make the Chalukyas of Vatapi, who were constantly at war with the Pallavas, their political ally, to recognize their political ambition. According Arikesri Parakosa Varman I, the Pandyan ruler made an alliance with the Chalukyan king Vikramaditya I and attempted to acquire some portion of Pallava territory. These were the three emperors who fought with each other constantly to run their power and to extend the control to another emperor. That's why they fought with each other constantly. The Pandyas were also at war with the other neighboring dynasty and the Cheras in order to extend their territorial boundaries. The battles fought and won were always a matter of pride for the victorious ruler, as the rulers were very much fond of to know about to run their powers between each other. They would demonstrate it through various means the Pandyas also tried to invade Ceylon during the period of the Sinhalese ruler Senavan, devastating the region and the carrying away of a huge booty. Now, the downfall of that particular Pandyas. The Pandyas were overthrown by the Kalabars. This created an integrum of the Pandyan rule by the Kalahars, and therefore this period is known as the Kalabra integrum. In 3rd century to 6th, 7th centuries. The origin of Kalabars is not known. It is believed that by the end of 6th century and in early 6th, 7th century, the Pandyas under Kadungo remerged. The Pallavas also faced similar fate from the Kalabhas, and later under Simhavishnu they resurfaced. He became the founder of Imperial Pallava dynasty. The prestige of Pallavas as an imperial power suffered a setback when the Chalukyan ruler Vikramaditya II invaded the Pallava territory and for a brief period of time captured Kanchipuram. Later, Nandivarman III was defeated by Pandyan ruler Srimara and Srivallabha near Kadamba. After the death of Pallava king, there was a war of succession among his three sons. Three sons. In this power struggle, one of the royal brothers, who Dhruv Patunga, lost his life. The Chola king Aditya Chola, along with the Pandyan emperor Kamavarman, defeated another Pallava brother, Aparajita, while the third one accepted the overlordship of imperial Cholas in the beginning of 10th century. This civil war finally resulted in the breakdown of the rule of imperial Pallavas. Besides the Pallavas, and they constantly engaged in battles against Chalukyas, were associated by Western Gangas. Pandyan kingdom also the war of succession. Same thing. Cheras, Cholas, Pandyas. They were constantly fighting with each other to extend their control on one another. In 311, Malik Kafur, the military general of Sultan of Delhi, Alauddin Khilji, invaded Madurai. At this time, there was a fight going on between the two brothers, Veer Pandya and Sundar Pandya, for the throne of Pandyan kingdom. It is said that of all the Deccan and South Indian military campaigns of Kafur, this was materially the most satisfying one, which proves that the Pandyans were a rich kingdom. But the invasion weakened their position. It also enabled the feudatories of Pandyas to exercise their power independently. The Pandyas lost their northern territory to the Kakatiyas. Later, there were two more invasions made from the Delhi Sultanate. The last one was carried out by the Ulugh Khan, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And this time the Pandyan territory was annexed and merged into Sultanate. But during the rule of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, 1325 to 1351, the Sultanate lost its control over Madurai. Kalchuris. Some says Kalachuris, some says Kalchuris. Now let us understand the political history of Kalchuri dynasty. Kalchuris, the origin of Kalchuris, also known as Hehas. It is not very clear. They belong to Kshatriya tribe. They are mentioned in Brahminical epics, in Puranas also. The early Kalchuris or Kalchuris of Mahishmati rose in present-day Gujarat. Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, they in Mahishmati, present-day Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. Kalchuris were prevalent at that time. Some important rulers of the dynasties were Krishna Raja, Shankar Gana, Buddhi Raja. They ruled from 550 to 620 CE. The early Kalchuris could not flourish much, but because of their neighboring kingdoms, the Chalukyas of Vadapi and the Metrakas of Vallabhi, they were the neighboring kingdoms. That's why the Kalchuris were not able to extend their power. These two kingdoms were too dominating political forces for them to expand, and finally their powers were undermined. Buddhiraja during his period had to fight against Chalukyas twice. In the first battle he was defeated by Mangalesha, and in second battle he was defeated by Pulkeshi II. After these defeats, through the Kalchuris were weakened, yet they continue to survive. They have matrimonial relation with the eastern and western Chalukyas. By ninth century, become across a number of collateral branches of Kalchuris. The major ones were the Kalchuris of Chedi, Kalchuris of Deccan. There were some other branches of Kalchuris too. The Kalchuris of Ratnapur, Kalchuris of South Koshana, Kalchuris of Gorakhpur, Kalchuris of Raipur. The Kalchuri dynasty of Ratanpur was founded by one of the son of Kokila I, Kalachuri ruler of Chedi. Initially, it was under the subordination of the Kalchuris of Chedi. It became independent under Jajal Deva, one in c. 12th century. He took the royal titles of Maharaja, Dhiraja, Parmeshwar. Kalchuris of Ratnapur conquered South Koshan. Another branch erupted from the Ratnapur Kalchuris, and it was known as Kalchuris of Raipur. This is not very easy to understand. This is not very easy to learn all these things, because this time period is very much tough to learn all these names and the states and how they extend their empire, and the Kalchuris, Pallavas, Cheras, Cholas, Pandyas. Okay, Cholas were famous for making temples in south. Pandyas were also at that time. Okay, now the administration of that particular time. If we are going to start administration, then we will study about the literature of that particular period, religion, society, economy, administration. We will read about to understand about the administration of the Pallavas. Let us look at their control administration at the local and the local administration units. The Pallavas has a hereditary monarchy as usual. The king was the highest authority in his kingdom, supreme head of the judiciary department, supreme leader of his army. Fifth, the king. He adopted the title of Dharma Maharaja to emphasize that he governed his kingdom according to the tenets of Dharma Shastras. The Pallava administrative system was well structured. The appointed ministers called Amatyas offered their services. Amatyas. And the assistants, they assisted to the king. The government departments were headed by the royal members such as young princes of the kingdom. Apart from the royal family members, the distinguished army officials were also given the task of supervising the royal departments. The dynasty had a well maintained army too. We are talking about Pallavas. Each kotam means each area of that particular kingdom. Each kotam was under the supervision of officers appointed by the kings. Village was the smallest administrative unit. To look after the administration of villages, there were many local assemblies, such which were autonomous in nature. Sabha, Ur, these were the most important among them. The Sabha were generally found in Brahmadeya villages. Brahmadeya villages means villages granted to Brahmins, sabhas. So they were assemblies whose members belonged to the Brahmin caste. The Ur consisted of people from different castes. These self-governing assemblies were involved in performing tasks such as managing temples, repairing irrigational tanks, doing charitable works, etc. The village assemblies were functioning in different parts of Pallava dynasty, and they were very important for the efficient functioning of villages. But a lot of aspects related to their functions and their relation to the central government are not good. Tax, that was the main part of that particular empire. Tax collected from various sources were spent on maintenance of the king and his retinue, for the maintenance of his army and the naval force. Tax is a part of the salary of the king, and how to maintain their administration, how to maintain his administration. The tax was the main part of that particular. The Pallavas maintained a huge army, infantry, cavalry, unit of elephants, chariots. There were four branches of the army. Fine breeds of horses were not available locally. The Pallavas had to import them from North India and West Asia, because of which they had to spend a huge portion of the revenue on cavalry. Economy. From the post Gupta period, the practice of land grabs became frequent in the north as well as south India. It was useful in expansion of agricultural land because many uncultivated virgin lands were granted to Donis. The Pallava kingdom was very prosperous, and the Pallava inscription informed that the Pallava rulers made many land grants. They grant their land to the Brahmins. They also donate lands for the maintenance of temples and emerged as important economic centers. They received rich endowments. They were granted obligatory contribution of food grains from a group of villagers called Magamai. The temples had Koyal Parivarmans, means ritual specialists. On annual festivals, they attracted a huge mass of people and also gift from them also. The Pallavas were largely engaged in conflict with Chalukyas and the Pandyas, but during peaceful times, they could pay more attention towards improving trade, improving commerce in their domain. Maritime trade received a welcoming boost. Mahabalipuram was a busy Pallava port, and its harbour was full of ships, loading and unloading cargo ships. When the Pallava Emperor Narasimhavarman sent his naval expedition to Ceylon for the second time, it was this port which was used for sending his army. They also had dockyards at Nagapattinam. The Pandyans especially had a prosperous trade. There were several different kinds of merchants, traders, and they played a very important role because they paid tax. That's why they play a very important role in the economical condition of Pallavas. Pandyas had intercontinental trade. The foreign merchants and travelers addressed the Pandyan kingdoms as Malabar, which is an Arabic term for ferry or passage. This underlines the significance of region, and there is evidence that it is frequently visited by the merchants and the travelers because the area that was connected to the seaport. Okay, Polo in his account informed that Pandyan kings took interest in promotion of trade and commerce and provide a favorable condition for the native and foreign merchants to engage in trading activities. As today in India, so many foreign countries, for so many foreign companies want to invest their money in India because in India there are so many small activities which were very much profitable for the other countries. They think so. That's why they connect. They want to connect with India. At that time, the ruler of Pandyas, Pandya rulers were very much fond of that the travelers will come in our country and they trade with us so that they can gain tax and they can gain publicity. What was the condition of the society at that particular time? The ruling and priestly class had an interdependent relationship. The ruling and the priestly class. The Brahmins provided political legitimacy to the ruling lineage, and the king granted them tax-free lands. Brahmins do their activities, and the king granted them free lands as a tax without any tax. The practice of land grants, as mentioned earlier, further strengthened the political, social, and economic basis of Brahmins. Because Brahmins had no salary except land grants. Okay, they occupied a high and social status. The Tamil society underwent a great change during the Pallavas. Under them, the Aryanization of South India was completed. The monuments they constructed were mainly religious structures dedicated to Hindu deities, just like Vishnu, just like Shiva. These were the two main deities which were prevalent in the temples at that time. And so many religious activities and religious functions were prevailing at that time. They gathered in temples and they did some religious activities. There were many temples with libraries, and thus they became center of religious as well as secular learning centers. Various type of social classes created social inequality. Inequality was prevalent at that time. Sati system was evident at that time. Okay, sati system prevalent at that time. And the Varna system prevalent at that time, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. These were the main inequality causes of that particular society. Women were not regarded as equal to men. They had no right in the property. The condition of widows was not very good. Sati system was evident. It was called Tipayadals. On the death of a Pandyan ruler named Pandyan, his queen observed this custom. During the Pandyan Empire, the king practiced polygamy. These were in the Sangam age, the women who were skilled in literature, essay, music, natakam, drama, who were regarded as Mudukuravai. The Tamil epic Silapadikaram, 100 to 300 CE, this described Kannagi as Mudukuravi. These were the names connected to the south. The religion, Jainism, Buddhism, they followed. Okay, and they followed Nainas, Alavars. Nainas and Alavars. Alavars connected to Vishnu and Nainas connected to uh, Lord Shiva. Huinsang, Faxian, they came to India. They gathered so many sources and they wrote in their book about the Buddhism. 10,000 Buddhist priests were engaged in the study of Mahayana Buddhists. The number of Hindu and Jain temples was about 80. Temples were making at that time. Buddhism, Jainism during this time could not find royal patronage. And the followers of Vaishnavism and Shaivism, the Pallava rulers, gave patronage largely to Brahminical faith. That's why they made so many temples at that time. Kalchuri of Chedi, they also gave royal patronage to Brahminical religion, especially to Shaivism. They worshipped Vishnu and Shiva and made numerous land grants for the maintenance of religious establishment. The practice of yogini cult was popular. There are 64 yoginis. Their temples are found at Khajuraho, Biraghat, Shahadol, Jainism, Buddhism. They were also practiced at that time. Veer Shaiva, Lingayat movement that were also prevalent at that time. I will tell you in our next classes. Literature. What was the literature? First of all, Tamilkam. First of all, Tamilkam was the literature during the period of Pallavas was both religious and secular, but largely religious in nature. Yes, the court of Pallava rulers granted royal patronage to Sanskrit literature. They give importance to Sanskrit literature. Poet saints as well as alvars, poet saints wrote literary works of great importance, which we will look at now. Otherwise, there was a growth of sectarian movement, the Bhakti movement. Bhakti movement. In our next class, we will study about Bhakti movement, Alavars, Nayanars, and the devotee of Vishnu, devotee of Shiva. In the Bhakti literature, Tamil literature also we will study about in our next class. So many Tamil verses written in Tamilkam, Prabandham, and was written by 12 Alvars. Alvars means devotee of Vishnu. Okay? Art and literature, yes, they were connected to art and literature too. The architecture of a particular kingdom is influenced by various factors. The availability of resource material means one and last. They made the temples and they give grant to the temples also. They give a lot of grant for making temples. That is the main reason, the main source to know about art and architecture, how much the rulers of Pandyans they fond of. Mahindra style, Mahindra style architecture, Mamala style architecture, Rajasimha style architecture. They were connected with the architecture also. Architectural structures of Pandyas were very good. The summary of that particular to know about Pallavas, Pandyas, and Kalchuris, their relationship with their respective and neighboring kingdoms, and the impact these interaction created on political history also. The relationship of the king with his territory comprising agricultural lands, they connected to forest areas, wasteland, water bodies. Some tract of land had state monopoly, while others were redistributed through the system of land grants. During the post-Gupta period, it was widespread, which led to expansion of cultivated lands and integration, emergence of Brahmins as landed intermediaries and caste differentiation, which brought changes in their society, economic, religious beliefs, as well as in cultural arena. Development of art and architecture under Pallavas, Pandyas, and the Kalchuris. This was very much development of art and architecture at that time. All things we have discussed in this class, and now in our next class we will discuss about what? We will discuss about uh, we will discuss about Shiva and Vishnu, Kalvas and Venus. Thank you. Have a nice day.